Jeff Sims. That is the name. That is the experiment. That is the rookie camp storyline. First, a quarterback is changing positions. Then, the Giants are testing pure athletic upside. And then, the real question becomes whether Jeff Sims has a lane to survive beyond rookie camp. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what this move means. Big Blue lock-in. Breaking news from rookie camp, and it is not a normal roster note story. The Giants have a quarterback turned wide receiver to watch, and the name is Jeff Sims, the former Nebraska quarterback now attempting to carve out an NFL path at wide receiver. That matters. Not because rookie camp guarantees anything. It does not. It matters because this is the exact stage of the offseason where long-shot roster stories begin, and Big Blue has to identify value before the Eagles, Cowboys, and Commanders even realize what is forming. Real talk before we dive in. Eagles fans want Giants fans quiet. Cowboys fans want Big Blue treated like background noise. Commanders fans want to act like they already passed us. If you want this channel, by Big Blue, for Big Blue, to keep pushing back, hit subscribe right now. Every sub is a flag planted at MetLife Stadium. Comment, "Let's go Giants," and let every rival fan lurking here feel it. Now let's get to story one, because Jeff Sims is not just a name on a rookie camp sheet. He is a test case, and the Giants are evaluating something bigger than one position label. Every year at rookie camp, there is at least one name that makes you stop and say, wait, what is happening here? For the Giants, that name is Jeff Sims. He came up as a quarterback. He played at Nebraska. Now he is trying to make an NFL roster by switching to wide receiver. And that is the part that should get your attention. Not hype. Attention. Because a quarterback moving to wide receiver is not just changing where he lines up. It is changing how a team views his NFL value. The Giants are not looking at him as a traditional quarterback in this moment. Jackson Dart is the current Giants starting quarterback, and this Jeff Sims story is not about creating a quarterback controversy. Let me make that clear. This is about athleticism, versatility, and opportunity. It is about whether a player with quarterback background can turn that experience into a different kind of weapon. A quarterback has to understand spacing. A quarterback has to process defensive structure. A quarterback has to know where the ball is supposed to go, how coverage moves, and where leverage exists. Now flip that around. If Sims can transfer that field awareness to wide receiver, the Giants get a player who does not enter the position completely blind. He still has to prove he can run routes. He still has to prove he can catch consistently. He still has to prove he belongs against NFL athletes. But the mental background is real. And rookie camp is exactly where a staff can ask, is there something here? Here is the truth nobody is telling you. Rookie camp is not only about polished prospects. It is about finding traits before they become production. That is the difference between watching any channel and watching this one. The Giants are in off-season evaluation mode. That means the staff is not just looking for the obvious names. They are looking for functional athletic profiles, position flexibility, and players who can create a reason to stay in the building. Jeff Sims has to create that reason. Personal opinion here. I think this is the right kind of rookie camp swing. Not a guaranteed roster move, not a headline built on fantasy, but a smart evaluation. Sims has athleticism and quarterback background, and that combination is worth testing at wide receiver. Disagree? Drop your reasoning below. Because if you think every rookie camp invite has to fit one clean label, you are missing the point. The Giants are not in the business of ignoring useful traits. They are trying to find a lane. But wait, story 2 is bigger, because this is where the move stops being about Jeff Sims alone and starts becoming about how smart teams search for hidden value. Now, what most channels miss is this. The story is not only that Jeff Sims is switching positions. The real story is why a team like the Giants even takes this type of swing during rookie camp. The answer is simple. This is the evaluation window. This is the time of year when teams can look at long-shot players without pretending the depth chart is finished. The Giants can test athletic ability. They can test coachability. They can test whether a former quarterback has enough movement skill and football intelligence to become something else. That is not random. That is roster construction. A quarterback-to-receiver conversion is hard. Let's not dress it up. Wide receiver is not just running fast and catching the ball. It requires releases, route timing, body control, spacing, and trust with the quarterback. It requires learning how to win without the ball, how to sell a route, and how to react when coverage changes. Sims has to show those things. But the reason teams take chances on athletic quarterbacks at new positions is because quarterbacks often bring a rare understanding of the whole picture. They are used to seeing the defense from the center of the storm. They know where passing concepts are supposed to attack. They understand why one route matters to another route. That background can help. It does not erase the learning curve. It gives the staff something to work with. For the Giants, this is also about opportunity. Rookie camp is not the final roster. It is the first audition. Sims does not need to prove he is a finished wide receiver right away. He needs to prove that the experiment deserves another look. That is the key. If he flashes enough athletic versatility, if he handles the new role, and if the Giants see a developmental path, then he becomes more than a camp curiosity. He becomes a project. And projects matter when they come with traits. Big Blue has watched enough off-seasons to know this. Not every important roster story begins with a huge announcement. Sometimes it starts with one name, one position switch, and one staff asking whether the player has more to offer than his old label. I'll say it, and I know some of you will fight me on this. In my opinion, Jeff Sims is one of the most interesting rookie camp evaluations for the Giants because the range of outcomes is so wide. He can vanish fast, or he can force the staff to keep watching. That uncertainty makes him must-track. Tell me I'm wrong. Now I want your take. Comment real shot if you think Jeff Sims has a realistic path beyond rookie camp. Comment camp story if you think this ends as just an experiment. No middle ground. Make me defend my position. Quick reminder, if you are still here, you are Big Blue. Hit subscribe, because story 3 is the one that decides how real this path actually is. What comes next is the real test. Not the headline, not the novelty, not the position switch, the lane. Can Jeff Sims actually stick with the Giants beyond rookie camp? Now, this is the part you really came for. The story that flips the conversation is not simply Jeff Sims moving from quarterback to wide receiver. The real bomb is whether the Giants have a realistic reason to keep evaluating him after rookie camp ends. That is the entire game. Because rookie camp experiments happen all the time. A name pops, fans get curious, and then the league moves on. The question is whether Sims can make the Giants pause long enough to say, "Do not end this yet." That is the path, not instant stardom. A second look. Here is where the position switch becomes fascinating. Sims is trying to build an NFL future through versatility, athleticism, and opportunity. Those are the exact words that matter. Versatility means he is not asking the Giants to view him through one narrow role. Athleticism means the team is evaluating traits that can translate. Opportunity means rookie camp gives him the opening to prove the conversion is worth more time. That is a real lane. A narrow lane, but a real one. The Giants are in off-season evaluation mode, and this is the moment when long-shot roster stories begin. That does not mean every long shot becomes a roster piece. It means this is when a player can start building a case. Sims has to show the staff he is more than a former quarterback trying something new. He has to show them he is a wide receiver worth teaching. That distinction is everything. A former quarterback at receiver is a fun headline. A receiver with quarterback eyes, athletic tools, and a willingness to adapt is a player a staff can study. The difference between those two things is practice performance, role acceptance, and whether the coaches see progress from rep to rep. Now connect this to Story 1 and Story 2. Story 1 gave us the name, Jeff Sims, former Nebraska quarterback, now working at wide receiver. Story 2 gave us the reason. Teams use this part of the offseason to evaluate athletic long shots, especially when versatility creates a possible path. Story 3 gives us the outcome question. Can he do enough to stay in the conversation beyond rookie camp? That is why this story matters. Not because it changes the starting lineup. Not because it challenges Jackson Dart. It does not. Dart is the starting quarterback. This is a different lane entirely. This is about the bottom of the roster, developmental thinking, and whether the Giants can squeeze value out of a player trying to reinvent himself. And honestly, Big Blue should want the team taking swings like this. The Eagles are not waiting around for perfect prospects. The Cowboys are not going to hand the Giants anything. The Commanders are trying to build their own identity. If the G-men want to gain edges, they have to win in the margins. Rookie camp is a margin. Position conversion is a margin. Versatile athletes are a margin. Sims is standing right in that margin, trying to turn a tryout-style opportunity into an extended look. I'm going on record right now. In my opinion, this is the kind of evaluation the Giants must keep leaning into. Not because Jeff Sims is guaranteed to stick, but because ignoring this profile would be lazy roster building. Athletic quarterback, new receiver role, rookie camp opportunity. That is exactly the kind of swing worth taking. Convince me I'm wrong. I'm listening. And now you have your answer to the question I asked earlier. Is Jeff Sims a real shot, or just a camp story? Drop your answer in the comments. If this analysis hit, like the video. That is how we keep the algorithm pushing real Big Blue breakdowns instead of lazy highlight noise. Because this is not just about one player. It is about how the Giants evaluate the edge of the roster. And sometimes, the edge is where a season's hidden depth begins. 3 angles. 1 picture. Here is what it all means together. The Giants are not treating rookie camp like a formality. They are using it as a search tool, and Jeff Sims is the perfect example of why that matters. A quarterback-turned-receiver forces the staff to look beyond labels. He forces them to evaluate athletic traits, football intelligence, and adaptability. He forces a real football question. Does the player's old position give him a new advantage? That is the entire thesis. The Giants do not need Sims to be a finished product right now. They need him to show that the conversion deserves more oxygen. That is how long-shot stories start. Not with guarantees. With enough intrigue to survive the first cut of attention. And for Big Blue Nation, that is exactly the type of off-season story worth tracking. The Eagles, Cowboys, and Commanders can laugh at rookie camp experiments if they want. New York tough means you look for every edge, even the weird ones, even the uncomfortable ones, even the ones nobody else wants to discuss seriously. That is how smart teams operate. That is how hidden value gets found. Listen closely. Next, I am breaking down how the Giants should think about wide receiver roster competition after rookie camp, and where a project like Jeff Sims fits in that conversation. If you are Big Blue for real, you need that video. Subscribe now, hit the bell, and make sure YouTube actually sends it to you. That is how this channel keeps growing against Eagles, Cowboys, and Commanders noise. And drop your final answer below. Real shot or camp story. No fence sitting. I want to know where Big Blue Nation stands before the next wave of evaluation hits. Because once the staff starts sorting these roster battles, the conversation changes fast. One player gets more reps, another disappears. One experiment earns another look. Another becomes a footnote. That is the business. That is the league. And that is why we track it before everyone else catches up. But listen closely. One decision is still pending. How long the Giants keep giving this wide receiver conversion room to breathe. The front office and coaching staff have to decide whether Jeff Sims is only a rookie camp curiosity or whether his athletic profile earns a deeper look. That answer drops through evaluation. And when it does, we will be on it. Because the bigger question is not just Sims. It is how aggressive the Giants are willing to be with developmental roster bets while the Eagles, Cowboys, and Commanders are watching the same division race. Big Blue, the battle is here. Subscribe, stay locked, and let's go Giants. We ride together.